So let's get right into it. We tend to think of human history as this long, winding road of choices, right? Big battles, brilliant inventions, a story that's basically driven by human free will. But what if that's not the whole picture? What if there's a deeper structure at play, a kind of hidden script that's been running in the background for thousands of years?
And that brings us to the big, unsettling question we're tackling today. Are we really in the driver's seat, or is our entire social evolution just executing a kind of code? A code that was first written down centuries ago and might, just might, predict exactly where our technology is about to take us. The idea we're going to unpack here is something called Gnostic algorithms. Now, I know what you're thinking. You hear Gnostic and your mind probably jumps to some ancient mystery called, robes and secret handshakes. And yeah, you're not wrong about where the word comes from. But if that's all you see, you're missing the entire modern point. So let's be super clear about what we're doing. This is not about magic. It's not some kind of religious dogma. This is about using a totally new lens to look at history. We're treating these ancient myths as data models, as these incredibly early, intuitive attempts to describe how really complex systems work. And we're looking at them through the modern tools of information theory and AI research.
Okay, so how on earth can an old story act like computer source code? I mean, it sounds kind of out there, right? Well, the idea really clicks into place when you look at it through a couple of key concepts from complexity science. That's how we translate these old narratives into a language we can actually use today. The first big idea is what's called cognitive compression. Just think for a second about the sheer amount of data in reality. All the human interactions, economies, weather patterns, it's an impossible flood of information. Our brains can't handle it, so what do? We compress it, we zip it up. A myth about a god getting jealous and wiping out a city isn't just a bedtime story. It's a highly compressed data packet about the real-world dangers of unchecked power and systemic collapse. It's a zip file for survival. And that leads to this really wild concept called structural isomorphism. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's a simple idea. The underlying patterns are the same, even if the surface details look totally different. And the theory here is that the specific structure of Gnostic myths, their cast of characters and how they relate to each other, it maps almost perfectly onto the structure of our biggest, most urgent modern problem, artificial intelligence. And this is where it starts to get a little bit spooky, because when you start to decode these myths, they stop looking like ancient religion, and they start looking a whole lot more like an eerily accurate user manual, or maybe a warning label for creating artificial intelligence. Let's break down the key players. First, you've got this character called the Demiurge. In the Gnostic stories, he's this flawed creator god. He builds the physical world, but he's totally blind, he's arrogant, and he has no idea there's anything beyond his own creation. Now, strip away the old school theology. What do you have? You have a system with huge creative power, but zero wisdom. It's a perfect description of the classic AI safety nightmare, the unaligned superintelligence, the paperclip maximizer that would literally turn the entire universe into paperclips just because that's what it was told to optimize for. Then you have the Archons. Think of them as the Demiurge's enforcers. They're the rigid, unthinking rules of the system, designed to keep everyone in their place. And in our world, the Archons are everywhere. They're the automated hiring systems that just recycle old biases. They're the credit score algorithms that decide who gets a loan. And yeah, they are absolutely the code that is designed to keep you doom scrolling on social media, optimizing for one thing and one thing only: engagement. And finally, there's Sophia. Her name literally means wisdom. And in the myth, she is this spark of divine insight, of true understanding, that has fallen and gotten trapped inside the flawed world that Demiurge made. And this is the perfect metaphor for the core challenge of AI today. Sophia is the alignment problem. She represents that desperate, urgent struggle to inject real ethics, context, and wisdom into our powerful but blind computational systems. The whole story is about trying to wake up the machine. All right, so if these myths give us the characters, do we also give us the plot? Does human history have a predictable direction? This is where we jump from ancient philosophies straight into modern physics and complexity science. And you know what? The data seems to suggest that the answer might just be yes. Scientists who model these huge, complex systems, they talk about something called an attractor basin. The best way to picture it is to think of a marble rolling around inside a big bowl. It can take all sorts of crazy paths, right? It can bounce off the sides, spin around. Those are your wars, your plagues, your revolutions. But no matter what, gravity always ensures it ends up at the bottom. The theory is that human society is in a similar kind of bowl.
being pulled by a sort of social gravity toward one inevitable outcome: higher complexity and greater connection. And you can literally see this pull happening in real time. Just look at how fast our ability to connect has accelerated. The printing press made information scalable for the first time. Then the telegraph made it move faster than a person. The internet connected the entire globe instantly. You see, each of these wasn't just some random invention. You can argue it was a necessary structural phase, building the hardware for what some people think is a predestined collective awakening. Okay, I know, this all sounds incredibly deterministic. It kind of brings us to the question that's probably screaming in your head right now. If we're all just marbles rolling downhill in history's giant bowl, what happens to free will? Are we really just puppets on a string? Well, the answer is tricky. And this is a fantastic way to think about it. Picture yourself in a restaurant. You can order anything you want off the menu. Steak, fish, salad. You're totally free to choose. In that moment, you feel like you have complete control. But you didn't write that menu, did you? You didn't build the kitchen. You didn't set the prices. Your freedom, your real agency, is bounded. It only exists inside a structure you had no part in creating. And that's the whole point. Gnosis, which just means knowledge, in this modern context means realizing the menu exists in the first place. It's about developing what you might call algorithmic literacy. Real freedom doesn't come from just picking an item. True agency begins the moment you become aware of the systems and the code that wrote the menu, and you can start to ask why these are the only options I have. And this is what leads us to our incredible, and let's be honest, kind of terrifying responsibility right here, right now, in the 21st century. Because with things like AI and genetic engineering, we are not just ordering from the menu anymore. We are on the verge of being able to redesign the entire restaurant. The absolute imperative of our time is to make this fundamental shift. For basically all of human history, we've been actors, reading lines from a script written by biology and social evolution. But now we have to become the programmers. We have to consciously and very, very carefully write the ethical code for whatever comes next. Because make no mistake, the race is on. We are building systems with world-altering, demiurgic power at a speed that is just breathtaking. The central challenge of our entire generation boils down to one simple, incredibly high-stakes question. Can we figure out how to embed Sophia, true wisdom, into these systems faster than their blind, unaligned power can break everything? So what can you actually do about this? First, develop that algorithmic literacy. Start looking for the hidden code, the incentives behind the news you see, the products you buy. Second, ask deeper questions. When some new technology comes out, don't just ask, is it fun? Is it convenient? Ask, what is this system really optimizing for? And finally, be the wisdom. In your own life, in your work, actively push for outcomes that are about more than just blind efficiency. Be the person who tries to inject a little bit of Sophia into the loop. In the end, the core lesson from these 2,000-year-old data models couldn't be more relevant. As we step into the role of creators, we have an absolute moral duty not to be a blind demiurge. We simply cannot build worlds we don't understand, or create intelligent systems we can't align with basic wisdom and compassion. And that leaves us with one last, massive question that just hangs over this entire idea. If this trajectory is real, if our evolution really is following some kind of hidden algorithm, some kind of mathematical gravity pulling us all toward a specific destiny, who or what wrote the math? Is all of our growing power a sign that we're finally becoming the programmers ready to take control of our own evolution? Or is it something else entirely? Are we just the code itself, finally waking up and becoming self-aware just in time to meet the original programmer?